Hello, fellow activists and aspiring activists. Welcome.
I'm Monique Kinnikon.
I'm Fantasy Bias.
And I'm Alyssa Winano.
And today we will be defining social norms. So when you think of a social norm, what comes to mind? This may depend on your gender, culture, age, or even your awareness to challenging social norms. And as a social activist, how do we bring up healthy and equitable norms and deconstruct harmful ones? Today we'll be talking about how we can incorporate equitable social norms into our social activism campaigns with interaction of normalizing and adopting these norms into mainstream culture.
So of course you know the typical norms such as stopping at a red light or shaking someone's hand when you first meet them. But there are also norms that we are trying to work into our culture, such as asking for someone's pronouns when you meet them, or not touching someone's hair even though they may have a different texture than yours, or you're very curious to see what it feels like.
I think that it can definitely be difficult though, especially since social norms are definitely something that we see from a very young age, and it's something that we then internalize all throughout our lives. We even see it specifically with the way that gender is perceived and how it's so binary.
Binary meaning boy or girl instead of it being a spectrum from boy to girl.
Absolutely. I mean, we even see this before you're born. Your parents may have a gender reveal party depending on the sex that their doctor may tell them that you are. And I think that it can set a tone for a lot of violence.
I remember my parents telling me that I didn't grow hair until I was 3 years old. So then that put me in the no hair male type of section. So they would make it a point to go out and buy purple or pink or like floral type of clothes to dress me in. So that way other people would be like, oh, you're such a cute girl, rather than me being identified as a boy with less hair.
Definitely, and I think we can even see that with the kinds of toys that we are given as a child. Boys are often given toy guns and trucks, whereas girls are given maybe kitchen sets or dolls, and I think that can bring on certain behaviors or tendencies. Especially with boys, we see them and they can be very dominating or very violent, and then girls, I feel like they feel the need to be either very nurturing or submissive.
Definitely. When I was a kid, I was always given toys like dolls and stuffed animals and kitchen sets, and then I felt the pressure to be the nurturing type, even though that didn't come naturally to me. And then as we approach puberty, we're definitely told by teachers and peers and things like that that when someone has a crush on you, that they're mean to you. So if someone's bullying you of the opposite sex is bullying you, then they just have a crush on you and that it's perfectly acceptable. And I feel that this can later lead to relationship violence feeling really kind of natural and normal.
And that can even happen before puberty. Like when you're in elementary school, that is mainly what you're taught by your teachers, your peers, and even your parents, that if the male figure is being in any way violent towards you, that they have that expression or that feeling of liking you, which can cause a totally mixed mentality in adolescence.
Totally.
Absolutely.
And then during teenage years, of course, we see boys being pushed to be more sexual and dominating, and girls being sexualized in music, movies, things like that, but never truly allowed to be sexual for themselves and embrace their own sexuality. And then in later years, we see women that aren't married by the age of 30 or 40 are kind of shunned in that way and criticized, whereas men who get married maybe in their 20s are definitely made fun of by their friends sometimes.
An organic way to do it is by using equitable social norms, like presenting your pronouns with everyone you're introduced to.
I think another way is to incorporate this norm in group settings by making it part of introductions. Just like as we introduce our names, we also include our pronouns.
Another way, another important thing is to be conscious of communities that you have more privilege over, learn their norms, and to be conscious to accommodate.
Wrapping up now, you're one step closer to being the activist you may aspire to be. Thank you so much for listening, and make that change.
Until next time, a quote from Laverne Cox. Each and every one of us has the capacity to be an oppressor. I want to encourage each and every one of us to interrogate how we might be an oppressor and how we might be able to become liberators for ourselves and for each other.
Thank you.